Good evening, everyone. My name is Eunice Robinson, and I am the current president of the British Columbia Genealogical Society. Celia Lewis joins me also. You met, most of you probably met Celia last week. And Celia and I also are part of the education team for BCGS.
There, thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley. So we'd like to start with a brief introduction, brief history and introduction to the British Columbia Genealogical Society. This is, as I was saying, is our 50th year. And one of the things that happened with BCGS is we are one of the lucky ones that does continue to grow. We've had some sad news with some of societies such as Prince George and Prince Rupert. They have folded. And it's just become, I don't know what the real reason, well, I shouldn't say the real reason. The reason is just lack of resources in their smaller cities. So we have encouraged them to, of course, become members of BCGS. So the society started in Richmond in 1971. We used to meet in the Arts Center. We then migrated over to, we had a library in the basement of a member's home. Her husband used to come home after work, much to his dismay, and see there would be 7 or 8 people sitting in his rec room reading books. It wasn't every single night of the week, but anyway, so we used to go to visit Alice's place in Richmond. And then we migrated to Vancouver. We were at Langara College for a number of years. Our library was then moved to Aberthow, the Heritage House way out near UBC. And I must admit, I didn't get out there that often either. I was working, I had 2 young children, and it just wasn't in the cards to go out to the library that often. However, we were asked to leave that residence because the weight of our collection caused the floors to sink about 4 inches. So we bundled everything up in boxes. We then moved to a location at Cambie and Broadway. That was actually a pretty good location. The only problem was it didn't have a washroom, so we had to go across the alley to the McDonald's. During a strike of the Vancouver permit people, the supervisors started going around and they realized that we did not have running water in our facility. So again, we had to move and we went into storage again. But 26 years ago, we were extremely fortunate to get one of our older members, Walter Draycott. He left a portion of his estate to us in his will. And we now have a library that is located at 128th Street and 76th Avenue in Surrey. You can go and go on our website, bcgs.ca, and you can find out how to get to our library location. So we have now, as I say, we're into our 50th year. A lot of things have changed as a result of COVID. But we have opened our library up to researchers and to our members to come and take a look. We are open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. If you're interested in coming, you can send an email to library@bcgs.ca, and then we can let or be advised that you're coming and what time. And then the library administrator will let you know if it's a good day or maybe not a good day. So do check that out. Now, we have a lot of resources in our library. We have I believe we're getting upwards of 18,000 books and journals. And there's an extensive collection, of course, on the UK, Scotland, Ireland, but we also have some journals and other books on places like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Germany, and the United States. Fortunately, we do continue to get donations from members or for those people who are downsizing their libraries. Maybe they weren't members of BCGS and they ask if we'd be interested in taking their collection. And we do say, yes, please, we will take anything and everything. So one of the things with our membership is now $65 a year. We have a very good website. Again, check our website out at bcgs.ca. There are a number of resources that are behind the wall, if you will, and in the members resources area. We have got our several other things that we have. We do have a quarterly journal. We have a monthly newsletter. You can actually go on our website and see all the previous newsletters. And we have a weekly announcement called the Gen Blast. And all it is just to say, hey, don't forget this, or, oh, remember that. Just quick, short little thing just to let you know different things that you may have forgotten. So we are communicating with our members on a regular basis. We also have a monthly meeting. We meet the second Wednesday of every month via Zoom, and members are sent the invitation a couple of days ahead of time, and so you can join us for that. Now, often we have speakers. We had a very, very good presentation from Colin Stevens for our November meeting, and his discussion was World War I soldiers. And then he got more particular into the Battle of Vimy Ridge. It was actually quite riveting. It went on a little bit longer than normal, but we certainly enjoyed listening to it. He had some wonderful pictures and some great information on researching your World War I veterans.
Do you want me to show the picture of the I've got sites already opened up,
Yes.
if you want me to show that.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Thanks, Celia.
That way when we're talking, you can just poke me and tell me what you want me to be
Okay.
doing. I'll just share my screen in just a moment.
Now you can see here we've got the library catalog. This is a really important document or resource for you. You don't have to be a member to access the library catalog. What is really excellent is if you're part of the cataloging team, whatever you're doing today, by tomorrow, it will already be in our catalog.
Are you seeing the catalog now by call number?
Yeah, by journals and periodicals by call number, yes.
Okay.
We exchange journals with over 200 different genealogy societies around the world. As you can see from this list that's up here, we have the Highland Family History Journal, we have Troon and District, we have a whole bunch of different journals from different parts of Scotland. And then this shows some of the Irish collection that we've got here. Of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff for England. When you're researching England and Wales generally are a combination. If you're looking for birth, marriage, and death records in England, the Welsh records will be there too. The Journal of the British People in India. I mean, there's another avenue of research. We have a lot of magazines, as you can see here. We've got just different, well, it goes on and on with the different magazines that we've got.
Indeed, this is all England, and then we finally get into the States, and I think we're into a little bit of Isle of Man.
Yes, yeah.
So this one is by call number, and the call number is based on the country or the state or province, but you can also look at it from alphabetical. If you know exactly which one you want to be seen, they're also in here alphabetically. So that's all the way from Aberdeen to Alberta, all in the same little section. I like going by call number because I think it's easier, but if you know exactly which journal you want, that would be a good one.
The one thing, these are just the printed journals. We are now getting a lot of journals that are being sent to us digital. And what happens with that is they are in the members resources area because the societies that we have asked to exchange a digital journal with, they have requested that it be limited to our members only. So again, this is the journals and periodicals, but there's all sorts of other things. There's our book list as well. Yes, if you want to show maybe under the right there, resources. The A to Z, like go across and check the top of all the drop-down menus are really quite useful.
This is where you'll find the BCGS newsletters, for instance.
Yeah.
And that's quite full. It's got usually has a couple of articles by some of our members, which are very practical and useful. One of them was wonderful. It was one that said, "When I croak, kid." Oh, am I glad that's done? When I croak. And she did a very detailed 2-page letter on what to do to make sure that your family knows what to do when you croak.
Yep.
It's wonderful. You can see that there's membership there, login instructions, who to contact, when and where, the resources. There's a lot on there, but we'll just show a few of them. Is there anything more in the library we want to show them?
We'll go under resources for a moment there, Celia.
Yeah.
And we have some forms, so printable forms and tools.
Yes. These are really practical. When I teach my classes for genealogy for beginners, the first thing I say is go to this page, and scroll down to where it says Genealogy Forms and Tools on the left-hand side. And what you'll see is a 6th-generation pedigree chart, an individual worksheet, and a family group sheet. And these are your basic tools when you're starting to research, where you keep track of people's names and their relationships to each other. So you know you're going back one step at a time. You're not skipping saying, but I know who my great-great-grandfather is. He's such and such. No, you're going to walk your way back there step by step, even though you'd really like to leap about, but that's only what bunnies do. You don't do that.
One of the other things to bear in mind is you may want to do your family history on a computer program, and that's great. But before you leap into purchasing any computer program, talk to other family historians first to find out what they're getting. You don't want to get some obscure program that nobody uses. You want to, in fact, find out what the other more experienced family historians are using, so that when you have questions, you can ask them. And that's why these particular forms that we have available on our website are useful. It already gets you started into putting your information on a form.
Actually, one of the problems with software is you can pay anywhere from nothing to about $90 or $100. And which really frosts me, because basically a software program for genealogy, it's like an accounting form. It just has fields that it has to organize in certain ways. So it's not complex. They make it complex to be able to give you some fancy ways to do reports and a few other ways of keeping track of some things. But it's actually not a complex software. And every software program does the same thing. As I say, form follows function. We all have to be able to put in our people's names, places, dates, relationships. So it's fairly basic, if I could just say that. But you know, nerds with language disorders, I think, designed it. And some of them are definitely harder to use than others, and you'll find them difficult. Others you'll look at and go, oh, that's exactly what I love. And I will look at it and go, not my style. So because I teach, I actually have a couple of different programs. I have 4 different programs on my PC computer, and all of them cost from $25 to $89. And some of them I don't renew because it's not my main one. But you don't have to have a software program. And we talk about that in the classes. The next series of classes I'll be teaching starts on January 3rd. And we'll talk about that later. And if you have questions, you can always email us just at education@bcgs.ca, and they'll pass it on to me, and I'm happy to answer questions. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. Anything else on here? We don't need to do anything more. There's a cousinship chart. There's all kinds of cousinship charts.
Yeah,
this is one more of them.
You can take a look at those. Yeah.
And these will download to your computer, so you can open them up on your computer and look at them. Okay.
Yeah. So the other thing that we have is BC Cemeteries. One of the programs that BCGS did starting in the 70s is we went out and we recorded all the cemeteries. Well, I shouldn't say all. We started with a great number of cemeteries. And over the decade, and we printed them and we put them out in published form. And over the decades, people are now not that interested in purchasing a whole book. They'd rather just the one memorial. So about 4 years ago, we started by taking all of our published cemetery lists, and we're putting them on Find a Grave. If you are not familiar with Find a Grave, it's another excellent tool. It's being used with cemeteries all over in different parts of the world. So just because you're researching in the UK, you may be surprised to find that that cemetery is on Find a Grave. If you're interested as a BCGS member in joining us, we already are looking for some more volunteers to help work on our Find a Grave process. Out of the 150 cemeteries, I believe we're now at about 125 that we've completed. So once that's done, we do have them digitized, the publications digitized on our website, but we will also be putting all the information that we have up on Find a Grave. Then we have the book indexing program. So you're looking for somebody in British Columbia, and let's just say Long John Silver for an example, and you think, oh my gosh, this book, oh, this book, and all these books were never indexed by the original author. So what BCGS again started doing back in the 70s is we would actually sit there and index that book. It's now gotten into one large database, which actually will be on the computers at the library. And so if you were looking for Long John Silver, you would go and in the search boxes, you type in Long John Silver. And what would come up is a list of every book that we have indexed. It will say the name, obviously. It will tell you the name of the book. It will tell you the call number of the book, and it will tell you the page number that Long John Silver is mentioned. Further to that, if there's an asterisk behind the page number, that indicates there's a photograph. And right now we are roughly 170,000 names in this particular database.
So if anybody here has relatively early BC people, it's possible that they're listed in some of these books, because when people wrote their own books and published them, they never thought about doing an index at the same time. Even some professional books didn't have indexes, which always shocks me, but that's how it is. But these days with Microsoft Word and other publishing programs, it's easy to do an index even as you start to do it. So it's nice to get these books of BC people actually organized and indexed so that anybody can look them up and find the information.
Absolutely.
And then get into the library and have a look. I do have to say though, if you come to the library and you're not a member, there is a small charge for using the library. It's a $5 charge. And of course, if you decide to be a member after that, that's taken off your cost.
And then we also are doing a newspaper indexing program of obituaries, marriages, and birth announcements. Again, if you're doing that indexing, you're sent 5 pages and an Excel spreadsheet, and you just fill out the blanks in. What the plan for this particular project is that you would have it on the library computers again. You could come in and you could look for your particular obituary, and it will say the index, and then it will have the actual obituary. So we're doing the Vancouver Sun right now, and it's an extensive project. We also have an amazing clipping file. It started way back in the 70s, and it's phenomenal. Currently, we have our library administrator, Corinne Jubb, going through this particular, all these drawers, and she's been indexing, and then we're going to be scanning the clippings. It's going to be quite amazing database to search. Most people come to the library and they kind of open up the drawer and then they really don't know what they're looking for, but there's gold in them, our file cabinets, believe me.
Those are very good. Do you want to talk about the country drop files as well, the vertical files?
Yes. So one of the things that we had, I'm the Irish facilitator for the Irish Interest Group. And over the decades, I started collecting information on Ireland. It currently is in 4 drawers and about 187 folders. So anything to do with Ireland, you will find. If you go on our website.
I'll just bring it to you right now.
Thank you. If you go on our website, you will see it's called the Vertical Library.
So
and if you go on the one for Ireland, I think it's the only one they've got up right now. Oh, there we go, Irish Vertical File. And it is a Word document. It's very simple. It was designed to make it easy. You open up that file and it will be an index at the beginning. So let's just say you want to look for something like Roscommon. You would go, you know, your typical Word document, you would file and you would look for Roscommon. And then what would happen, it will tell you which folder. So, yeah.
Is this on the side here?
Yeah. Oh, actually, go to County Antrim. That's a good one. County Antrim. Yeah. Click on that.
As you see, that's folder 4.
Yeah. So then there's all the information, and it gives you all the different records that we have currently in this file. You're welcome to come to the library and look through the file. And if you see something that strikes your fancy, you can take a photocopy of it, or you can take a picture with your camera, or you can scan it. We have scanners available at the library for your use as well.
Like, look at this population schedule of Ballyeaston Presbyterian congregation in 1813. Wouldn't it be nice if some of those were yours?
Absolutely.
Directories of Belfast, Ballymena and Mid-Antrim, another one on Belfast, Rathlin Island. So there's this actually goes on and on. So we won't go on and on, but it goes on and on.
It goes on and on.
It goes, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information now. We've started one for England. We've started one for Scotland. We've started one for Canada, one for the United States. As more and more information is brought in, then the file, of course, will expand. And it's done along the same lines as the Irish one. There's the master index that tells you what's in each folder. And then you go to or each state or county or province, then you go to that particular folder and you can see the contents.
Well, here's the Canadian one, just to give people a picture of what it will look like.
Yeah.
Let me just get that out of there. So when you look down the side here, you can see British Columbia, Barkerville, Burnaby, Alberta, Saskatchewan, etc., Niagara County. And on we go, Upper Canada, Lower Canada, immigration records. So there's a lot of information in there that's worth digging into, but you do need to come to the library for that.
Exactly. Okay, so also our library is now in WorldCat, which is the worldwide catalog of books, and it's a really excellent resource for us to have. Now, another thing we have in our library is the United Empire Loyalists Society's library collection. They ran out of space and didn't have a home. And they approached BCGS and we said, yes, we'd be more than thrilled to have your library collection. So we have it in our library. So if you've got UEL people, by all means, it's a great place to come and check out those resources.
I've got the library itself open. Do you want me just to search for UEL or United Empire Loyalists?
Yep, that sounds good.
Let me just share it first and then I'll start. That's the one I want. United Empire. It's a keyword search. You can do a number of different ways to do this. And it always takes a moment for the very first search to start showing up.
Yeah.
And it's loading.
So there's 81 records.
And if you see up on the top there, you can, if you find ones that you want, you can put it in, quote, the book bin, and that will make a list that you can, print out, Eunice? I'm usually at the library so much I don't use that much.
No, and I haven't, but we'll put it into a book bin and then you could print it. Then when you come to the library, you've actually got the call letters and you can find it.
Yes, because what you're doing, let me just get to this one, the Empire Loyalist Gazette. There's your call number right there, 971. And it tells you exactly what's available.
Yeah.
So you've got the information, you bring it with you, and you're already halfway there.
So we have, I mean, we keep going on about how much stuff we have. It really is quite incredible. And you find something new every day. I was doing some information on I was pulling some cards actually on a book called Vanderhoof, The Town That Wouldn't Wait by the Nechako Valley. Oh, okay. So I looked through these cards and I found one and a cousin's name is on it. And I went, hey, This is handy. I didn't know that she was mentioned in this book. So the next time I go to the library, which will be tomorrow, I'm going to check out this book, and I'm going to check on page 152 and see what it happens to say about Cousin June.
That would be so good.
Absolutely. Now, additional resources. So we have BC Research. And BC Research is, again, a few volunteers of the Society who will help with your research questions or problems. So if you are looking for something in British Columbia, we had, I'm sorry, I've got to go back here. I think it was, was it Wendy? Anyway, one of you mentioned that you've lost somebody in BC, or you think that maybe he was born in BC. You could actually contact BC Research, and as a member of BCGS, there is no cost. As a non-member, there again will be a nominal cost. If it takes 15, 20 minutes, it would maybe be $5. If it takes a bit longer, it goes up a little bit more. So
I was just helping a gentleman who lives down in Australia, I think on the western side, no, eastern side, the eastern side of Australia. And he lost his uncle and his uncle's parents and the other brother, and wanted to know if we were able to find him records. And I was able to find all of those and copy the death registrations, look them up on Google Maps to see where those places were, what they looked like. Turns out one of them was only up the street from me in Marpole. I live in Marpole, 5 blocks up the street. I walk past that all the time when I walk up to catch a bus. And so I was able to get a picture to him, and he thought that was cool.
absolutely. Oh, that's so much fun.
That was fun. It's so much more fun searching for somebody else's stuff, you know. I've been doing mine for quite a while now.
Well, I think it goes back to your comment about the low-hanging fruit. When people are first starting their research, it may seem insurmountable. It may seem, oh my God, where do I start? But if you talk to somebody like Celia and myself who've been doing it for a while, it may be one of those relatively easy searches, or ones that we think are relatively easy.
Birth, marriage, death,
Yeah.
and place.
Yeah.
That's all we're looking for.
And then people say, oh my gosh, you're so wonderful. Thank you very much. But, you know, once you become more experienced, people will be saying that about you. So, but we do have, there is consultation available if you do want to talk to somebody about your research problem. We do have weekly coffee chats.
I've just got that up, just got that open right now.
Good.
Why don't I just pull it up so people can see what that looks like?
Perfect. So the weekly coffee chats, we have them set up for every Thursday from 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock. And they're different topics, as you can see. So you look on our schedule, you find out when we're going to have the next discussion. And then you can join as a member, even as a non-member. We certainly don't mind you joining us, you know, just to see what it's like. But again, these are for our members.
Here's our calendar.
Yep, there's the calendar.
Is that coming through clearly enough?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So on the 25th, it looks like we've got Ontario. And
Yes.
so if anyone has got an Ontario research, then they can certainly join in. We have a list. Again, you have to register for these coffee chats. And then what you can do is join them. And it's much more interactive. It's not me or Celia talking all the time. It's
Although we do still talk a little bit.
We do, but that's just part of our charm. Another thing that we have had in the past, but we obviously haven't had in the last couple of years, is an annual Salt Lake City trip. And normally we go the last week of November, or pardon me, October, sometimes the first week of November. And it's a group of us go down and we do independent research in the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. It's got to be truly one of the nicest weeks of the year. There's no cooking, no cleaning, no nothing else, nobody going, Mom or Grandma, or can you drive me here? You go to the library, you sit down at your desk, you plug your computer in, or if you don't have your own, they have a computer for you, and you can research to your heart's content. I've gone actually probably every year. I've gone every year since I started doing this, except for maybe 7 years when I've gone overseas. and I call it my yearly sabbatical. It's actually quite wonderful. The amount of research I can do in 1 week in Salt Lake is probably the equivalent to what I might spend at home taking about 1.5 years. It's just, you know, you're completely undisturbed, except by your fellow researchers, which is fun.
Which is disturbing.
Oh, no, it's good because you never can tell what you might learn.
When you can spend a week there, you're able to actually copy down all the wills
Yes.
in England that you want.
Yeah.
For the province or the county that you want, that you're looking for, or the counties, because remember borders moved around even in England on the counties, and so it's good to just copy them all down, bring them home, and you can sit there until 2 in the morning if you want, going through them and going, oh my God, there he is. That's my great-great-grandfather. I didn't know he had 220 pounds worth of goods back in 1810 or 1820. Yep. Wow, wealthy man.
And that he actually willed his bed linens to his oldest daughter,
who was married. His name is now this, and you can now look her up.
No, going on research trips is really quite wonderful. We had actually in the library, we had a begin with books session one Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it was good because we said, no, leave your computer at home and just come and see what there is in the library, the books itself. Mm-hmm. Celia attended it, I attended it, there were several others. And I think everybody found something.
Yeah.
Because we were actually not worrying about the computer, we were looking at the books.
There was good stuff. I ended up with about 4 pages worth of notes and information that I brought home that I was going to add into my records. Sometimes people are mentioned in somebody else's will or somebody else's land record or the history of a particular area. Now, remembering that Canada hasn't been Canada for all that long, when the 1967, when Expo 67 was on, the government for the previous year gave grants to a lot of different towns that wanted to do a history of their town and or a history of a particular region around the area. And those little histories, your people are likely to be talked about in there. Mine were, so maybe yours were too.
Actually, mine were, and that was the other thing that Salt Lake City has a pretty astounding collection of them. But I was lucky to find both the books I was looking for in our BCGS library. One of the other things that BCGS is, we're an affiliate of Family Search, the Family History Library in Salt Lake. So if you go on familysearch.org, you can, first of all, they do want you to sign up. It doesn't commit you to anything, doesn't have anybody come knocking on your door, does not charge you a penny. Familysearch.org is a wonderful resource. You go on that particular thing for a search, and it might have an image, and you go, oh, and you click on the image, and it won't let you open it. If you come to the BCGS library, which is an affiliate, you go onto that record, and you can open up that document, and you actually can again save it to a USB, memory stick, whatever you call it, and take it home and put it into your family history. So in fact, over the COVID period, one thing Salt Lake City did do is they have digitized all of their records.
Which is huge. They have a huge vault. It's like massive. The biggest collection of records. I mean, Ancestry is diddly squat in comparison.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that was mentioned, so not everything is indexed. It's all digitized now. And what that means for you sitting at home or coming to the library means do we really have to go to Salt Lake? We do, but you don't, in a sense, have to do that anymore. And I think they figured this was going to be like a 30-year project. And because with the COVID shutdown, et cetera, I think they managed to achieve it in like 4 or 5 years. So they're heads and shoulders above where they thought they would be at this stage. And they have records. If you're researching in Scotland, as many of you mentioned, you will be. One of the things that happened over the decades was I would go to Salt Lake City and research in Scotland, all the Scottish records. At the time, they had in Salt Lake they had approximately 90, I'll say 97% of all the available Scottish records on microfilm in Salt Lake City. Well, when Scotland's people came to the fore, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But you still can access those records through family search.
Yeah.
They did not have to throw everything out. They kept their records. So, you know, when people say, oh, I have to go on Scotland's people, like, no, there are other routes. There is more than one trail from you to find your ancestor. You
Actually,
just have
I
to ask.
usually suggest that people make sure they look in for even the same person in the same time period on several different sites. If you think that Ancestry has everything, can I just stand here with my bare face hanging out and tell you that no, you're wrong. Actually, you don't. And all of the companies are the commercial companies, the three big ones, which are Ancestry, Find My Past, and My Heritage. Those are, along with Family Search, which is the hugest one, and the commercial ones have had to do contracts with different people, different organizations, different societies, different countries, to make a contract for how these are going to be seen. So you need to have an account so that you are fulfilling their agreement that says only people who are members can look at it. Okay, so, and that's not different from Ancestry. One year they probably had some Virginia birth records, and suddenly Virginia decided they were going to have it back and they weren't going to allow it anymore. And so the contract finished and that was it. You can't find it anymore. And you say, oh, Ancestry is such a problem. Oh, no, it just had a contract. You have to think about contracts.
And actually, that's a very good point, because as Celia points out, you can go to the different sites, like Find My Past may have something slightly different than Ancestry, might have something slightly different than My Heritage. And again, check out familysearch.org. One thing that Celia probably talked to you about last week was the Family Search Wiki. And if you haven't checked the wiki, I think both Celia and I are born again wiki people, because I never used it. I mean, I will confess, I never used it until about 3 or 4 years ago. And then I know, and then I went on it, and it's like, oh my gosh, the amount of information that is on the wiki.
Let me just share this little gold mine with you, because we do have a little bit of time. Are you looking at?
We are.
Okay.
Yep.
So up on the top right-hand corner, it says sign in, or for you, if you haven't done anything, create an account. You can call it whatever it is. Make sure you've got an email, however. And once you've signed in, and which I will do in just a second because I come all the time. Once you're on here, I just ignore everything below this line here, and I go up to the top here. There's your home page whenever you want to get back to it. There's the family tree, which, as many professional genealogists will tell you, is a flawed database, but it is a database. When I'm totally and utterly stuck and I'm trying to find one more stop, I will go to the family tree and see if anybody's got a document that shows that I can't get at, because maybe they have the document because it's a Bible record or it's a local thing that I can't get hold of. What you're going to be looking for all the time is search. And if you click on search, it has records, images, family tree, genealogies, catalog. Oh, I love the catalog. But also down at the bottom, it's got the research wiki. And if you go to the research wiki, which it should be doing, it's a little bit slow this evening.
Yes, a lot of people must be on it.
Oh my word.
There we go.
Saturday night, that's why. So if you're going to be looking here, let's look for Ireland. Ireland. And what you see when you're on the wiki is this is your wiki page on Ireland. It reminds you it's with the British Isles. There's guides to the ancestry, family history, gives you a little brief country information, talks about counties. The Ireland counties that you see below are based on pre-1974 boundaries. So always remember, boundaries are variable. So if you think your people came from County Roscommon, isn't that the one that's really close to County Sligo? I think it is. And so
I believe so, yeah.
And so if people are on the borders, they might be in this one year and they might be in another one later. So you need to know about that. There's guided research right here. You can read on how to find things. We're all so brilliant. We think we don't have to be taught anything, but really it's good to figure out where to find things and how to find them. Just keep on scrolling. Family Search does a great deal of long screens. So you just keep on scrolling. You see the partition lines. You can see the different colors for each of the county sections. This is Ulster up here. Then down here we've got Munster, which is, I have people from Cork. All these people over here from Wexford, Kilkenny, and up to Monaghan. That there is in Leinster. And on the other side, we have Connaught, which is all through here from Galway up to Donegal. So all that's useful, but did you see what's on the right-hand side? I'm hoping you can still see what's on the right-hand side. Can you?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was cut off.
Well, it is sort of with our, hang on, I'll move our faces to the other side. There we go.
It has Historic Ireland and Republic of Ireland topics, cemeteries, church directories, registration. You can click all of these, make them open up in a new page so you can see what they actually have in there. That is really, really useful to do before you get all caught up on what you're trying to research. More on the background, more on maps, church history, gazetteers. If you don't know what a gazetteer is, for heaven's sakes, click on it. I think we've got something like about 70 gazetteers at our library. We've got quite a few. A gazetteer is like a map, a historical map of a country with different names for different places. It gives you a little history of all of that. Can you see how I love Family Search?
Yes. Celia, if you could go back to find something we actually had somebody researching in Belarus. I think now that was Ron. So there would be something even for Belarus, Ron. And actually,
Sure.
Wendy was mentioning about some of her exotic countries. Again, there would be stuff there that you could check. You just again go, you see how it's got the map? You just click even on Europe and it will show all the different countries that it considers Europe. And then you can go down your list and there's Belarus.
So if we hit Belarus, here we are in Belarus.
Yep.
Hamburg passenger list, Germans from Russia genealogy, Belarus genealogy by another outside source, civil registration, church records, finding Jewish ancestors in Belarus. Here we are again with little counties.
Yep.
Here's more history over here and what kinds of records might be available. Red means they don't have them actually, just so you know. Different provinces, different communities.
So again, every country in the world has got something on the wiki. Some may have more than others, but check it out, especially when you're researching in something like Peru or Spain or something that you can't find anybody else who's researching. Check this resource out.
Just to give you another example here, if I under search just do records, and I type in, I don't want this thing actually, well, I'll take it. I'm only wanting place. I'm going to look for Belarus. And oh, they've got a new page. This is not the way it was before. Last week.
Of course not, things change.
It was not there. So I want the collection first. I don't want names. Here's your collections: birth, marriage, and death, census lists, migration and naturalization, military. There's a lot of American because people went from there. So hopefully that would be helpful. I'm not finding it helpful at the moment, but we're finding a few here just from Find a Grave Index. And so if you haven't looked on Find a Grave, you may find some of this helpful. But I would start off with the wiki first. So I wish I could show you something really wonderful, but sometimes you get lucky. Actually, frequently you get lucky. That's the way I've done most of my research, is start with either just the place or the wiki.
So as we say, that is one of the, well, it's a really good site for you to check. And again, just register, create an account, and then it's free. It doesn't obligate you in any way
No.
to put your tree on Family Search. Like Celia was saying, unfortunately, the genealogies that they've got on Family Search, this is a little word to the wise, if Celia didn't mention it last week, keep your genealogy on a program on your own computer. Many people put things on Ancestry or Find My Past or someplace else. And as you probably warned them, Celia, this now is the property of that company.
Most people don't read the terms and services there, which, by the way, terms and services are almost always at the very, very bottom of the home screen. Sometimes in very small print, but it's always there. Yeah. I'm serious. I showed one last week, and it was such tiny print I had to look twice. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
If you read the terms and conditions of service, almost always they tell you that actually whatever you put up on there becomes theirs, period, end stop. So you just need to know that. So when you say you've got a tree, and I say, where is it? And you say on Ancestry, I say, no, you don't have a tree. Ancestry has your tree. Or Find My Past has your tree, or My Heritage has your tree. So really important to think about that. And remember, you don't actually have to have software as a tree. I mean, you could do a really bare bones one so that you might get advantage of the little shaky leaves. But bottom line is, if you want to have your tree, it needs to be on your computer or in your books that you're keeping track of. Eunice has binders you can see behind her, but hers are done in like a scrapbook style, which is lovely. Very easy to find things. I'm somebody who's been working with computers since the 1980s, and so I think computers are perfectly fine, and I'm almost totally digital. So there's many ways to do things.
Well, actually, I'm just going to take a moment and share one of my screens, if you don't mind, Celia.
Sure. Yeah, do it.
So mine, as Celia mentions, I started doing this way back in the early days, and I got to find out which one's the one. Oh, that one. I got too many screens open here. Can you see this one that says Chapter 2, Hugh Gorman?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how I do mine. The reason was when I started off with computers, I actually had sort of, I'll say sort of a disagreement with the PC computer programs at the time. They and I did not quite meld. And so I said, no, I'll do my own way. So unlike a lot of people, I actually have a story that I add to, and because it's in Word, I can add it, I can revise it, whatever. Notice there's a footer. The last time I've done this one was 2017. Probably should go and take a look if there's more records. And when I get down to all the babble, I put mine instead of again on a computer program, I have mine done like this. So I've got the name of the couple and all their children. And it goes on and on from there. Now, this particular Mary Knox Gorman, she married Samuel Robinson, and I'm now saying refer to the Robinson genealogy, Chapter 4, because this is the line that my husband's descending from. So when I've got, and mine is much, like it's pretty extensive. This one isn't a very big one because it doesn't have a whole lot of stuff. But now I've taken the first son, David Gorman, and his wife, by the way, was Mary Gorman. I think they were cousins of some kind, haven't done that yet. And you can see that I put the records in here. Now, my tree on Ancestry, and yes, I actually have a couple, but they're very, very bare bones because for me, it was not essential that I put everything on it. Yes, when Ancestry says there's a record for me, I'm thrilled as all get out that I can have this record, but I still put the stuff in mind. So if Ancestry or Find My Past decided to go belly up, or they decided to sell to another company, and that other company decided it didn't want to share, or it wants to charge us $500 a year, and that's far too rich for my blood, then at least I've got my genealogy on my computer, and I'm not being held hostage to get it back. Because
it's on your computer, because any document you downloaded to your computer, you didn't just add it to your tree, you actually downloaded it, so you have the document on your computer.
Yeah.
And then you can also make a copy of it and use your snipping tool, because most of you have computers that have snipping tools. If not, if you can't, no, you should have a snipping tool. I actually use Snagit, S-N-A-G-I-T, as my my particular snipping tool, because it's got a lot of bells and whistles and I really love it. But Word has a snipping tool. Microsoft Office has a snipping tool. I know on Macintosh there are snipping tools.
Yes.
And snipping tools are delightful and wonderful. So you want to definitely look and see what you've got as a snipping tool and get used to using it, play around with it, pretend you're a 13-year-old boy pressing buttons and trying things out, and try to just do snippets of a part of a page, the whole page. How about the whole page plus showing the URL at the top? That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Well, let me share the screen just for a brief moment.
Sure.
Again, I'm trying to remember if this is the one here. Like I said, I got too many things open. So is that the right one? I think this is the right one. So you see with the snipping tool, it's a little pair of scissors with a red circle.
I don't see it.
Oh, no, you probably won't. And then another little window comes up and it's new. So what you do, it grays your document out, and then you can take that, and now you've got it, and you can put that thing wherever you want it, like in another whole document. So if it was a picture and you said, oh, I really want that picture of great great grandma, you snip it out, you can save it. It will, where did I put it now? Hang on, we'll find it again. You
Probably
can,
on your desktop.
Yeah, there you can save the little devil, and then what will happen is you can put it wherever. You can save that document into your folder. Okay, I'll stop the share again. Okay, so other things that BCGS does offer, well, there's a calendar of events. We've got that. We have a monthly speaker, I'll say 10 times out of 12, we will have a monthly speaker. We have had a series of seminars last year, well, this year in 2021. Our final one comes up this Saturday. If any of you are researching French Canadian records or French Canada, Quebec, we are having a lady by the name of Joanne Gervais. If you're interested in signing up for that, if you're a member of BCGS, it's free. If you're not, there is a charge of $40. So you might think, for Christmas, I can get a membership in BCGS. We are going to be having a series of free seminars next spring. We're looking again to have 3 or 4 more free seminars, having speakers like Chris Payton, Lucille Campy, Janice Nickerson, some very well-known people in the genealogy world. And it works out exceptionally well via Zoom. You don't have to go driving anywhere. They're usually in the morning from about, we say 10 to noon, but we usually have you log on about 9:30. And then you've got half an hour to chat. Yeah, chit chat and get yourselves organized. And they often go till about 12:30. So they've been very good. Dave Obie has been another one of our presenters, and
he's lovely.
Yeah, he's excellent for sure. We have, I've already spoken about the affiliates. So we have a lot of different things that we do that way. And then I've also mentioned about our publications. Is there anything else I've missed, Celia?
Yeah, I was going to talk. I thought that we could point out that, as with any other organization, our organization has lots of opportunities for volunteers, and volunteering allows you to be able to talk with other people. I volunteer the first Tuesday of every month at the library. And gosh, the first year that I was volunteering once a month, I went through the entire library. I just started at one end, straightened everything up, looked at the titles, opened some books up. I got from one end to the other. And along the way, the people that came into the library were lovely to talk with, and I got to know some of them really quite well. In fact, I feel really positive about them. It's been great to be able to hop into the library lately and have a lovely chat with them and coffee with them. Oh my goodness, it's almost normal.
Yeah, almost, that's true. Yeah.
But there are a number of volunteering projects. The indexing that Eunice was talking about, the indexing for the books on BC people from books that were never indexed, that is a volunteer project. There's a number of people working on that. New books that come into our library, whether they're new or used, used because they were donated, new because we were able to buy them. Those books need to be processed, cataloged, indexed, sent off. There's all kinds of work has to be done for a book before it gets on the shelf. So those, that's another one that you, if you're comfortable on a computer and you like to do that kind of thing, it'd be great. The other special projects, we have one special project going on right now called the Holten Netherlands Cemetery Project. Holten is in the Netherlands. And Eunice, you know more about that than I do. I haven't been involved in this particular project.
Okay, thank you. So basically there were 81 British Columbia service people who died in that part of Europe during World War II. And so what our part of the project was to try and research any one of these in order to give the information to the Holten people in the Netherlands. They were going to have a big 75th anniversary celebration last year, and of course COVID hit.
Yeah.
But we are continuing, Janice Kidwell is continuing to be the team leader on that particular project. And so if anyone wants to adopt a soldier, then they can do the research, and there's all the information is given to you. Again, any of the instructions, the same with our Find a Grave, you're given instructions on how to do it. I've done it. And as I say to people, if I've done it, it's not rocket science. In fact, right now I'm working on the Boundary Bay Cemetery. The book indexing, if you are at least somewhat, well, not afraid of Excel, it's just again easy. You just go in. I indexed 3 different years of school annuals for Prince Rupert. It got a little repetitive when you're seeing these names, but you know what? That was actually a lot easier than doing a bigger book where you have to read almost, you know, scan every line. The other thing that we've got in the research, we uncovered a bit of a mother lode in our files, and these were church records that the society had gathered in the late 70s, early 80s, maybe even as late as the early 90s. And
there they were
in a drawer.
I've gone past that cabinet and opened them and looked in a few times and thought, well, I'm not sure what this is, and closed it.
I know, it was astounding. So we've now got them digitized. We're going to be getting them indexed, and then they'll go on to the library computers. And I'm talking about church records in the Lower Mainland, Holy Trinity, oh good Lord, Grandview, St. Luke's. These are the ones I'm just remembering because I pulled the cards last week. There are so many of these records. They will not go on our website for one simple reason. Some of their dates are not the dates that the BC Archives use as a cutoff. So we do want to respect the privacy and only go to those dates. But these other records are available. I found my husband's aunt's baptism in one of them.
I didn't hear that.
Yes, I was, Aunt Kay, I didn't know you were here. So it's been a lot of fun finding that stuff. And again, I mean, I've been a member for years and I've gone to the library, but no, I really didn't know what was in there until I started digging and poking around.
It's a big library, people, and we actually own the property. So it's really nice to know that it's in a safe place. Yes. We get it checked all the time by the fire people, and it's comfortable. There's a nice big table in the library that you can, with a big plug in the middle, so several people can plug in their laptops. We've also have separate computers with printers attached, and so you can do your research, download something, print it off, and it's pretty simple. What is it, 10 cents a page?
I believe it's that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 10 cents a
And
page.
one thing, if you've got, you know, when you've got those long certificates and your darn scanner just is not big enough, we have a big bed scanner. It takes an 11 by 17 piece of paper. So you can scan it to a memory stick, and then you've got it, which is really handy. I actually have a whole, about 20 pages I just found the other day in this book and thought, I should take it to the library on Tuesday and do that.